It is 5 o'clock in the morning, and we are recording a really freaking naughty episode today.
Oh, really?
Welcome back to Us Against Everything, where not every monster hides under the bed, and sometimes the most dangerous person in the room is the one smiling at you.
Oh, you're such a handsome young man. Can you give us a big smile?
I am Liz. This is my co-host, Landon.
What up, everybody?
And before we get started, can we just take a second? I have to brag about this man, my man. Landon has officially stepped into the editor role of the podcast. And honestly, I am loving it. I am hella picky, and he is picking this up real quick. Every episode, he's sneaking a little surprise, random sound effects, visuals, transitions. I never know what's coming until the episode is finished. I get so excited. So
I share small clippets with you, but
very rarely.
I had to share that one with you. It's so
that
funny.
one was funny. If you guys have noticed, the episode's feeling a little different. That's him. He's doing an amazing job. So woohoo, babe.
I am definitely trying. I can't make any promises they're going to be super awesome, but I will try my best to keep bringing some awesome stuff to you guys.
He's lying. He's doing great. Get out of here. Today's episode's actually one we've been waiting to cover for a while. Actually, this entire series exists because of Landon and our friend Eileen Warnos.
Shout out to Eileen.
Both of them kept telling me, you have to cover the women on death row.
So important.
And at first I was like, oh my God, but guys, don't you know how tough it is for me to do anything prison related? But it's fine because I'm not in the prison, so it's fine.
Imagine if we went to Tennessee Women's Reformatory Prison where Christa Pike, the woman we're going to be talking about today, who is the first woman on death row in Tennessee in over 200 years.
Right? I mean, you got to be some kind of hella crazy to do that.
She is fucking crazy.
Well, we'll talk about that a little later. We are covering, like Landon said, the women of death row. Speaking of Christa Pike.
Christa Pike. What a fucking psycho bitch.
You say freak like it's a bad thing.
Today, you guys are going to be the jury. I want to hear where you stand when it comes to Christa Pike.
I'm telling y'all, when you hear what this person did to this super innocent person, if you do not feel the same way, I don't know. I don't know how I'm going to feel about that.
Well, we're not here to convince you someone is innocent. We're not here to convince you if somebody deserves to die. We're just here to lay out the case, show you what happened, talk about the evidence, point out the questions, and then let you decide. Because here's the thing. History has proven that jurors can make mistakes. Witnesses do lie. Witnesses can honestly remember things wrong. Evidence can be misunderstood.
She admitted to doing it. No one is debating, I think online from everything that I read, and including herself, no one is debating that she did this crime because she is super proud of this crime. She is proud of what she did, and she admits to doing it. The thing people are debating is whether she should be put to death or not.
Of course.
And I feel like that should be the main focus
right
of this specific episode is death row or not.
I agree with that. I agree. Well, today you guys become the jury. Let's get into this case. Now let's pretend you've never heard this case before. Just listen to all we gotta say. So today we're talking about one of the most infamous women ever sentenced to death in the USA, Christa Gale Pike. And on the outside, she looks like a very blessed with hair woman.
She does have some curly hair. She was definitely blessed with some good hair.
Right. Fairly attractive for that time period. And honestly, a little vain. This case is incredibly brutal. Now, Christa Gale Pike was born March 10th, 1976. In West Virginia. Want to point out that she is a Pisces. By nearly every account, her childhood was incredibly unstable. Over the years, there had been reports of substance abuse within the home, neglect, violence, severe abuse. And many of those who made that claim was Christa herself, and has been repeated in interviews, court records, media reports. However, not every allegation was independently verified through court findings, so it is important to separate what's been reported from what's been proven.
Correct.
And that's something we will continue to do throughout this series. Now, just because something has been repeated for years doesn't automatically make it a proven fact.
Exactly. So as Christa got older, the instability reportedly continued. I also want to point out too, there were allegations and accusations that somebody within her family had like SA'd her very, very young. And although I don't believe it made her the violent offender she was and still is.
Still is. That is the main point here. Still is.
Right. I do believe that, of course, it had a contributing factor with the iciness within her blue blood. She did struggle in school. She had difficulty building healthy relationships. According to people who knew her, she often felt unwanted, like she didn't really belong anywhere. The vibe I keep picking up on her is like weird. Like
she belongs in hell.
She would say weird things.
Give me your soul.
People made her feel like she was an idiot. She did not feel like she fit in. And I agree with that statement.
She probably didn't, because she probably didn't try that hard. She didn't try hard to be around people in a positive way. Obviously, again, some things in her childhood may have affected how she perceived things, how she did things, but still doesn't make it right. And
you could make a better choice.
Exactly. And what she did was just not right, regardless of how she felt unwanted or whatever, because in this time frame that we're going to be talking about, when her life changed, I feel like she actually had a good group of friends.
Right. I think she had a lot of paranoia. That paranoia sat within her, and she just couldn't get past it.
That could be very true as well.
Whether all of that directly contributed to what happened later is basically impossible to measure.
Oh, damn it.
But it does paint a picture of someone who was carrying a lot of trauma long before she was ever arrested. Now, eventually, as a teenager, Christa enrolled in the Job Corps program in Knoxville, Tennessee. For anyone who isn't familiar with Job Corps, because I genuinely had no idea, because we didn't have that shit.
What's that?
It's a federally funded program designed to help young adults gain an education, learn job skills, prepare for careers. I mean, that sounds really amazing, does it not?
Yeah, initially when the program first came out, of course, it was amazing and sounded amazing. But as you watch the little episode that we watched on Christa, it became a little bit more dangerous only because then their focus became more on troubled youth, troubled teens.
Gotcha.
And kids who had a hard time in school, because you could go to this Job Corps and not only get an education, but you can go into a trade of some sort.
Right.
And or find a job that works for you, but it's
And, like,
mainly
you
to
live
straighten
there,
you
right?
out. Yeah, so you're not with your family, you have rules, you have a bedtime, you have to sign in and out. Like,
Wow.
It's kind of like a boot camp.
Okay.
For kids. They turned it into like a boot camp for kids who were troubled, who were maybe in trouble with the law, petty crimes, stuff like that, not following directions in school, getting suspended all the time, etc.
For many people, it did represent a new, fresh start. But I agree with you. It's kind of the same energy as like group home energy. You have a bunch of troubled kids under one roof. Things do get a little hairy from time to time. And it can be very not effective.
Absolutely, especially if there's people who don't care and don't want better. They're just looking for their next fix of what is going to entertain them that week.
Right. Like I had a girl where I worked in a group home and she made threats to bleach out people's eyeballs all the time. And she would threaten that. And then one day, the overnight staff that I replaced, she did just that.
I'm
Crazy.
Kids are crazy. For many people, it represented a fresh start going to Job Corps.
Right.
A chance to leave a difficult past behind. Unfortunately for Christa, it became a place where everything changed. She was just 18 years old when she arrived at the Knoxville campus. It was there that she met another student, Tatterall Shipp. The two began dating fairly quickly, and according to testimony and later reporting, their relationship became intense in just a very short time. Around the same time, another student entered the picture.
I want to point this out here before we get into Colleen here, but I do feel like Tatterall, although he was dedicated to Christa because she had that like no fucks given attitude, and he was into that.
And this is how it ends.
I also feel like he was fucking around with a lot of different girls. Just had to put that out there.
He definitely seemed like that because when we watched that episode again, that friend of hers said that Tatterall was actually interested in 19-year-old Colleen Slemmer before Christa was there. Once Christa arrived, Tatterall left Colleen behind and totally focused on Christa.
Bye-bye.
Now, people who knew Colleen generally described her as quiet, friendly, and well-liked around campus, and she wasn't someone known for causing drama.
I wonder what pushed Colleen to go there. Like, normally it's like kids that are troubled, but I wonder what Colleen's story was. Like, do we think she was troubled? Do we think that she was somebody who was just trying to find a fresh start?
I think from what her mother said, they were heavily against it. Her mother and father were heavily against it. But for Colleen, she just felt like she needed to get out of her town, probably leaning more towards a fresh start, but it was something to do with what she wanted to do for life, and this program was going to allow her to do that.
Gotcha.
And again, at this time, they were just transitioning into getting troubled youth. So like Christa and Tatterall being some of those youth that they got that were a little bit more troubled.
So it's kind of in that transition period.
Right.
Gotcha.
Colleen was like just there because she genuinely wanted to use the program to get a better career for herself.
Right. And, you know, Colleen wasn't someone known for causing drama either. But Christa was. And I think she was trying to egg on Colleen for a bit there. But because Colleen would kind of like turn the cheek to her, she didn't like that. She was hoping that this bitch would throw down with her. Like, that's the vibe I get.
I also think that Christa was completely delusional.
Oh, yeah.
Because the prosecution would argue that Christa became convinced that Colleen was interested in Tatterall, where I think it was the other way around. I think Tatterall was interested in Colleen. I think Colleen was just not interested in him at all.
Yeah.
She was just being nice. And then Christa built this imaginary story in her head that like she had to do something about this.
Yeah, I would agree with you. I think Colleen was like interested in the fact that a guy was interested, but I don't think he was quite her type. And I feel like he was the one pursuing it more than anyone or anything else. And I think Christa got word of like a few women that had a thing for him, and she had like a shit list, but Colleen was the only one that she felt like she could kind of take on. You know,
I'm gonna kick your ass. I'm gonna slap the shit out of you.
Absolutely. Now, obviously, the prosecution believed jealousy became the motive. The defense suggested the dynamics between the people involved were far more complicated, and people close to Colleen disputed it. And then this is where the case gets messy. Because if you watched any of the documentaries or read any of the articles about Christa Pike, you've probably heard only one version of the story.
She has done a lot of fucked up shit. And there are a lot of people out there who are kind of supporting her. But honestly, like, I think she was a rotten egg from the beginning. Even before she went through the trauma she did, like, I feel like she was born this way.
Absolutely. I believe it. Nobody can do what she did to Colleen. Genuinely, no, that's just pure evil. It's like a Michael Myers situation. There is some people out there that are just genuinely born evil.
Oh, yeah. The night in question, January 12th, 1995, it genuinely started like any other evening at the Knoxville Job Corps Center. Students were coming and going, talking with friends, making plans. No one could have imagined what was going to happen or that one of these people would be dead. According to evidence presented at trial, Christa, Tatterall, and Chadola and a 19-year-old Colleen Slemmer all signed out at the Job Corps dormitory together. That sign-out log would later become one of the first pieces of evidence because only 3 of the 4 students came back. The 4th never did.
And then this is where the prosecution's timeline begins.
Now, according to prosecution, the group left campus after telling Colleen they were going to go smoke some weed and hang out. Instead of staying somewhere public, they walked to the secluded wooded area near an abandoned stream, basically right by the University of Tennessee's agricultural campus. It was away from other students, away from witnesses, honestly, away from anyone who can hear what was about to happen. Like, they obviously had gone to this place a few times and conducted together like this would be the best place to do this. Now, once they reached the woods, the situation turned incredibly violent. Colleen was punched, kicked, cut with sharp objects, repeatedly assaulted over the course of 30 minutes to 45 minutes. The court testimony also described a pentagram being carved into her chest while she was still alive.
What, are you nuts?
Oh my God.
Like we said, guys, brutal. One witness later testified that Colleen tried to escape during the attack, and according to that testimony, Tatterall stopped her and brought her back.
I mean, maybe. This is where it gets a little kind of wonky. The friend Chadola was on the lookout, and she did say, like, I don't want nothing to do with this. I'll keep an eye out. But honestly, like, I feel like Tatterall and Christa, like, kept going back and forth and, like, trying to one-up each other. But then I honestly believe that Tatterall, in what he's saying, like, hey, like, enough's enough, girl. Like, she's fucking dead. We need to stop now. And she was like, didn't give a shit and continued to carry on for a brief moment. And then when he did bring her back, I don't feel like she was fully back.
No, because it was her first kill, right?
Right.
So it's like she went completely crazy. Mm-hmm. Now, according to the medical evidence presented at trial, Colleen suffered hundreds of injuries, including numerous stab and cutting wounds, blunt force trauma, and other devastating injuries.
Yep.
Her skull was crushed into a bunch of pieces.
Can you imagine, like, you smash somebody's face in so much that their skull just fractures?
The fatal injuries occurred after she was struck in the head with a large piece of asphalt. She died there in the woods. She was only 19 years old. That level of violence is very difficult to swallow, which is why I said that she is just born evil. No one can go to that extreme violence. Now, the other thing that makes Christa just pure evil is as she was hitting her and after she was dead and she realized there was pieces of her skull all over the place, she decided to also pick a piece up and take it home for a trophy.
Gloating about it. And of course, trophy, serial killer tendencies.
I was just about to say that. Serial killer tendency right there. They need to take a trophy of some sort. And the more satanic, the more it makes sense why she's doing this. Now, Tatterall and Christa apparently were also in a satanic group. There was a couple of students on campus that were, and these two were part of it. And that is why they put the pentagram and did all these injuries.
You know what's really kind of fucked up? Because, like, when they do this kind of, like, Antichrist stuff, like, because it does come up a lot in Bible Belt locations, but a lot of them is, like, fake, especially, like, West Memphis 3. Like, none of that was going on.
Yeah, no, none of that was going on.
But this particular group of people, yeah, I believe it. Not just satanic, but like
Straight fucked up.
yeah, like drinking each other's blood.
They were doing it all. They were just going crazy.
I think they practiced on animals beforehand too. Like something just tells me that this was not their first go at it.
No, I mean, in the bad side of Satanism is a lot of ritual sacrifice, which is a lot of animals, unfortunately. And like the ultimate sacrifice is a human.
So fucked up. Anyways, I genuinely feel that thrill within my bones from her, like excitement. Like I know she's still alive, but because she is lingering on the precipice of death, she's closer to death than she realizes. She doesn't even realize it, honestly. I can feel the energy and I can pick up so strongly on how she relives this moment, but in a very psychopath way.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, the other person we haven't talked about very much, Shandala, she's one of the biggest question marks in this entire case. Now, of course, she was there that night, acknowledged her involvement. The prosecution argued that she acted as a lookout while the attack was happening. But one question has never really gone away, like why? Why would she go along with it?
I think probably fear. Like she was
pressure.
watching what these two were doing to Colleen.
Right.
And if she ran, she would be next. They'd find her. They know where she is. I feel like a lot of it was, like you said, peer pressure and just fear of, oh no, I'll be next. So I guess I just have to stand here, do what they say. And hopefully I can get away from this, do something, but I can't do anything right this minute.
Yeah, I don't disagree with you. I feel like there was an element of fear for her life. And I also believe that she was the first one to roll over to and share the details because she quite literally had zero connection to what actually happened. It was her and Tatterall, right? So,
well, I believe that, Christa said in a interview that she talked to police first and admitted to everything and thinking she was just going to walk away. Everybody was going to walk away, like stupid Christa for that. I do believe that at the same time, they were also obviously talking to Tatterall and Shandala. And I feel like you said, you were right. Like she told them all the stuff which collaborated with Christa's story.
right. And I mean, like they clearly didn't think about the getting away with it part. Because she was in that mindset that she was going to get away with it, like a very immature energy. Oh, I'm a minor. I can do whatever the fuck I want to do. It's a minor thing.
I'm already in Job Corps.
Right.
Like, I'm already here. Like, what worse are they going to do to me?
Right. And she was telling everybody about it. So it doesn't surprise me by the morning of January 13th, 1995, just one day later, the investigation was already underway.
It didn't take long for people at the Job Corps Center to realize Colleen was missing. Then came the discovery no one wanted. Her body was found in that wooded area where the group had gone just that night before. From that moment on, everything changed. Detectives immediately began interviewing students, staff members, and anyone who may have seen or spoken with the four students before they left campus. One of the first things investigators looked at was the Job Corps sign in and out log. It showed that Christa Pike, Tatterall Shipp, Shandala Peterson, and Colleen Slemmer all had left in a group together that evening.
Like, what idiot? Oh, let's all sign out together and show that we were all together before she doesn't come back.
That just shows their age, right?
Right.
Shows their age. That's when witnesses started coming forward because investigators completely narrowed down their focus on those three students.
The job was basically done for the police at this point. I also want to point out, and I don't think it's been told, I know Christa showed off the skull wrapped inside of a napkin.
Ew.
I was going to say, imagine somebody just coming up to you and being like, hey, look at what I have.
It's a piece of skull.
And then you're like,
What?
From what, like an animal? And they're like, no, human. And you're like, oh my God, who?
You know that girl that was looking at Tatterall? Well, I showed that bitch. Don't fuck with me.
I would probably like run away.
Right. Her friend reacted that way, like, don't tell anyone or you're next. Like, and I think that she said that to her other friends as well. Like, I feel like she made those kind of threats to everyone to kind of show everybody, look at me, I'm the big bad bitch. Don't fuck with me or my man.
Exactly. Now, after investigators found that piece of skull fragment, forensic experts testified that the fragment did match Colleen's skull.
Oh my God. Speaking of skull, like seeing that skull being used and just like ripped apart on that stand for this fucking evidence, mind blowing.
And the mother, that poor mother, how
Seeing
tragic.
that.
Having to see her daughter's skull like that. So sad. Now, that became one of the strongest pieces of physical evidence presented by the prosecution. And so at that point, investigators weren't relying just on one thing anymore.
And before long, Christa, Tatterall, and Shadala were all arrested. Each would face serious criminal charges connected to Colleen's murder. So that takes us to the trial. And also, what would make Christa Pike one of the youngest women ever sentenced to death in the U.S.? By the time the trial began, the case had already made headlines across Tennessee, not just because of how brutal the murder was, but because of the age of people involved. 3 teenagers, one of them dead, one facing the possibility of the death penalty, and another accused of helping make it happen. The jury found Christa Pike guilty of first-degree murder. And she was convicted of conspiracy to commit murder, and then came the penalties. The prosecution argued that the extreme brutality of the murders justified the death penalty, which Landon and I both agree with.
Absolutely. When you this heinous of a crime, absolutely death penalty.
The defense asked the jury to spare her life,
Can you help me?
pointing to her childhood, her mental health, and her age. And in the end, the jury chose death.
And let me add in there that according to one of the arresting officers, the jury said it was about 90 minutes with a 1-hour lunch break
Oh my God.
in there for them to come back with the death penalty for Christa Pike.
I mean, it does not surprise me. And then it was the very next day when they gave her the death penalty. So she got her guilty verdict, and then boom, next day she received the death penalty. And of course, you can hear this clip right now of her finding out the truth.
Can I please have my mom before I go?
Mr. Bates, please hold Miss Pike in the doctor.
Please, let me just find my mom.
Please hold Miss Pike in the doctor.
I love you. I love you too. And I love you too.
And I mean, she is weeping away and want to talk to my mommy, and oh my God, all fake.
But if you're going to sit there and say that your childhood was unstable because of your parents and they did all this abuse to you and allowed all this abuse to you,
Right.
why would you scream out to your mother, I love you and this and that? Like her testimony and all the things she said was true. Then I would not be saying I love you to my mother or anything. I'd be like, fuck you, I'm in this position because of you.
Right. And they even did like an interview with her asking her like how she feels about getting the electric chair, because at the time it was the electric chair.
Yes, so-
and she's like, I'm not getting it. I believe in the justice system protecting me and blah, blah, blah.
Right. She said she had hope. Now, Christa was, when she was sentenced to death, her initial sentence was that she would be put to death by electrocution in the state of Tennessee. She escaped that. She was supposed to be executed only 2 months after she was found guilty and got the death penalty, but somehow she got away with it. Her legal team came together and got some appeals going. Now, in this appeal, Christa's attorneys have filed multiple appeals over the years for her, and that is completely normal in death penalty cases, obviously. Those appeals raise questions about issues including her background, her mental health, whether she received effective legal representation, and whether her death sentence should remain in place.
And she thinks she's a fucking star, by the way. Like, she thinks she is one fucking famous bitch.
Right. Well, she said it's the greatest thing she's ever done in her life, and she's
Right.
famous because of it, which obviously she's famous for the wrong things because she is famous for being the first woman on death row in the state of Tennessee in 200 years.
Right,
And she's the
girl.
only one.
Right, like you're not Beyonce. It ain't for your voice, bitch. It's for murdering some innocent person. You sick fuck.
Right. Now, some appeals were denied, obviously. Others focused on specific legal issues rather than whether she committed the murder. But through all of it, her conviction still remains intact. And her sentence still remains the same. Death row.
Well, she's also been doing a lot of freaking naughty shit.
Right.
Let's talk about what happened in 2001. A fire broke out inside the maximum security unit at the Tennessee Prison for Women, also now known as the Deborah K. Johnson Rehabilitation Center.
Which I don't see Christa getting rehabilitated at all.
Oh, fuck no. The fire itself was not connected to her. However, according to court records, correctional officers had to evacuate inmates from their individual cells and temporarily place several of them together while staff responded to emergencies. It was during that evacuation that another violent incident unfolded.
And this is a lot of things, and this is something that a lot of people have heard about, but not everyone knows how it started.
Yeah, according to court testimony, Christa Pike, Natasha Cornett, and Patricia Jones were temporarily placed together in the same holding area. At some point, an argument broke out between Cornett and Jones. Shocking. And according to testimony, Cornett swung at Jones but missed. And then Christa came up behind Jones and used a shoestring or bootlace to choke her until correctional officers intervened. One of the officers later testified, saying that Christa allegedly said, "The way you're pulling my hand, you just helping me choke that bitch." Another officer testified she later claimed that if she had another 30 seconds, she would have killed Jones.
Now let's give you a little backstory on these two inmates here. Christa was in a relationship with Natasha. Now, Natasha was in a previous relationship with Patricia. Patricia still liked Natasha. Christa, as we know from the past, was like, hell no.
I'm
bitch,
some serious jealousy mofo.
right, bitch needs to be eliminated. And then Christa again took it upon herself to try to end this person's life with a shoelace. Obviously, it did not work out in her favor.
Oh my God, girl. Did you not learn your lesson?
No, she didn't, because she
I guess she got nothing to lose, though, at that point.
Right, which is what in the documentary it said. Christa, as soon as she got the death row sentence and her first appeal was denied, she felt like, I have nothing to lose. I'm already going to be put to death. It's just a matter of when.
She then later received another first-degree murder charge in connection with the attack and additional prison sentence on top of the death sentence she already was serving. Like, okay, what a waste of fucking time.
Right, because even while sitting on death row, she was convicted of another violent crime.
Right.
And was like, I don't give a fuck.
Right, and that wasn't the last time her name appeared in the news. Over the years, there have been many reports of attempted escapes while she was being transported for a court appearance.
No shock there. This girl she does not feel like she deserves prison. And she said that. I don't deserve the death penalty. I don't deserve to be where I am.
Prosecutors accused Christa of trying to arrange the murder of another inmate. They allege the target was connected to a former boyfriend of Christa's. Dun dun dun. Like, same MO.
She just doesn't learn her lesson.
These events happen years after Colleen's murder. They don't change what the jury heard in 1996. But honestly, guys, it's pretty fucked up.
So, as of today, Christa Pike still remains on Tennessee's death row.
As she should.
Right, I was just about to say where she belongs, unless a court grants relief,
No.
It hasn't happened thus far.
issues a stay, or her sentence is changed through the appeals process. She is currently scheduled to be executed on September 30th of this year. If that execution moves forward as scheduled, which she has already been up 4 times and it keeps being moved, she would become the first woman executed in Tennessee in more than 200 years. Even after all this time, the legal fight still is not over for Christa.
I mean, I think it kind of is. They're using her being a Buddhist and her medical conditions.
Which nobody's going to believe that. When I didn't really know much about it, when I was like, oh, Buddhist, I'm like, oh, that's crazy. But then when we got really into the case and realized, no, she was actually a Satanist, and now she's just trying to use Buddhist as a reason to not be executed, because the way that they execute you is not allowed in Buddhist religion, and they would have to do it a different way. No prison's going to do that. They're not going to grant that.
Yeah, there's also medical reasons as well. Like there's something that could go wrong with the lethal injection side of it too.
Which is a far reach, everybody. That could be for
Right.
anybody. It's just a far reach. Again, another ploy to try to get out of being executed, I feel like.
Absolutely.
I did something horrible that is unacceptable, and I realize that. But I don't deserve to die for the actions of 3 individuals. I remember what it feels like to not have somebody chain me up when I walk out a door or tell me when I can use the bathroom or eat a meal.
Real quick, before we come to the end of this episode, Landon has a couple of questions for me.
Now, these questions aren't about the court records. These aren't about your personal opinions after researching this case. But first, what do you think was really going through Christa Pike's mind that night? Do you think jealousy was truly the driving force, or do you believe something much deeper was happening?
I honestly think that Tatterall and Colleen had a moment. Tatterall may have assaulted her, and she might have said, no, not happening, bud. And I feel like he went and told Christa, hey, so this bitch tried to come and grab your man, and because he was hurt and rejected by Colleen, he was hoping that, because Christa did mention in the past that she wanted to beat the shit out of her, but he thought, hey, let me make this happen.
I think maybe he was just looking for a girl fight,
Yeah, right. Not an
hair
actual
pulling, slapping each other in the face, fighting over him, building up his ego.
Right. I feel like it became a sexual thing. The two of them enjoyed the idea of beating the shit out of her. Did some weird ritual satanic crap.
Well, speaking of Tatterall, when you look at Tatterall, do you think history remembers his role accurately, or do you think he had more influence over what happened than most people realize? As Christa said, she feels like she shouldn't be on death row because 3 people were there that night and she's the only one on death row.
Yeah, I don't disagree with her theory on the Tatterall side of it, but honestly, there's a difference, right? I don't think that Christa would have gotten the death penalty if she didn't take that fucking bone with her and wander about carrying it as a trophy, proud, telling people about it. I feel like
that was the extra push the prosecution had on her, because it was Tatterall didn't do that, Shondella didn't do that. None of them took her clothes or pieces of her or anything like that.
Exactly.
And prance around with it, acting look at what I got, look at what I, you just won an NFL ring or something.
Right. So I do believe that she had a bigger role in it. So it was also premeditated for her. I feel like she had been thinking about it. She did share the details with him a little bit, but I think they got into it together in a weird way. And I mean, he just came up for parole in 2025 and they told him we'll try again in 2030. I mean, he clearly hasn't learned his lesson either.
Right. And again,
so the only difference is he's not losing his life. She is. He's going to be there for a while longer, I'd say.
Right, and every time those things come up, parole, they heavily take on what the family feels. And Colleen's mother has said she will never feel like they should come out.
Oh, fuck no.
Now, do you think Christa has ever felt genuine remorse, or do you think she only regrets getting caught?
I don't even think she regrets getting caught. I believe she just regrets her sentencing. I think that if she had gotten a lighter sentence, 20 years, 25 years, with the possibility of parole, I think she would have been a lot happier with that. But because she was so against the idea of the death penalty and dying, I feel like that was the only reason that she was feeling some sort of way, but it wasn't for Colleen. There has never been any sort of remorse towards Colleen ever once, unless it was really fake.
I feel like it was all it was all fake for her. I don't think she has remorse. She's just mad, like you said, that she's on death row and doesn't have a chance to get out and do it again to somebody.
Right, exactly.
Now, last question. Do you believe that this execution will actually happen, or do you think something is going to change before this September 30th deadline?
I have been on the fence about that one, honestly, because there could possibly be a slight change, whether something else happens, she gets sick, there's something. But I don't feel like it's going to prevent her from having her execution date, and I think it's going to happen this calendar year.
All right, guys. Now it's your turn. Let's
Yes.
hear what everyone else thinks.
Right.
What is your verdict?
Please let us know. Do you think Tatterall played a bigger role? Was jealousy really the motive? Do you believe Christa deserves the death penalty? Let us know. Now, thank you guys so much for hanging out with us for another episode of Us Against Everything. Next episode, we're going to be stepping away from true crime and kicking off with another episode connected to the secrets of the Zodiac, where we dive into the history, personality, stereotypes, and you might learn something. But until then, it is always
Us Against Everything.